Continuing the Foundational 5 series. The last video I did was on multivitamins. If you didn't catch it, look around wherever you're seeing this video and you'll find it. Today, I'm talking about the second component of the Foundational 5, and that's fish oil. So as a recap, the Foundational 5, generally supplements that I think everybody would benefit from. Same disclaimer as I did on the last video. I'm not giving you medical advice. Take notes on what I'm telling you. If some of this is of interest or you think you want to take one of these, if there's any question about whether it's relevant for you or not, or safe for you or not, speak to your functional medicine practitioner, your nutritionist, somebody that understands supplementation. All right. If you ask your regular family doctor about supplements, they may or may not have any knowledge at all about supplements, and the information you get may be less relevant than what you're getting here, even though I don't know your history. So be aware, speak to someone that understands what they're talking about. Now, number 2 on our list was fish oil. Fish oil is omega-3. It's important for us to get. I believe it's important for us to get our omega-3 fats from fish oil. Okay, getting them from plants is difficult. For example, flaxseed oil has some omega-3 in it, but it's not the kind of omega-3 we're talking about. We're talking about DHA and EPA. And for DHA and EPA, you have to convert the linolenic acid in the flaxseed oil into the EPA and DHA. It's a multi-step process. And research indicates that maybe you convert 1%. Most of the research says it's 0.5%. It's just not an efficient conversion. And the powers that be, who I normally don't listen to, have kind of agreed that they can't call that a reliable source of omega-3 fats because most people don't convert that well enough. Now, certain genetic types can convert it great, but knowing whether or not that's you is pretty difficult. So anyway, we're going to talk about actual fish oil because I think that's the most meaningful way to go about it. I've got a couple of options here I'm going to share with you. Other doctors use other stuff. I'm not saying this is the only thing on the planet that's any good, right? So the first one, it's my go-to. If anybody needs omega-3 fats, I start with this. If there's a reason I can't do it, then we move to the others. But number 1, by and large, cod liver oil. Okay, these are in capsules. Don't worry, you don't have to taste cod liver oil, but cod liver oil. Now, the standard processed cod liver oil is a little bit different than some. In many cod liver oils, the manufacturer is kind of forced to strip out the vitamin A and vitamin D that's naturally occurring in there and replace it with a synthetic, more controlled form of vitamin A and D so that they can then put on the label exactly how much is in there. And it's always the same because they're putting it in there. Not necessarily bad, but the form of vitamin A and D changes when you do that. In the actual cod liver, it is in what's called a triglyceride form. That's very easy for us to incorporate and use. For example, vitamin D in the triglyceride form is probably 3 or 4 times as valuable as vitamin D in a regular supplemental form. So even if you're supplementing with vitamin D, which we will get to in a future video, having a small amount of triglyceride form vitamin D is really beneficial. It helps round it out and make it more usable. So anyway, there's going to be some vitamin A and vitamin D in the cod liver oil. The vitamin A in some cod liver oil is enough to kind of be your daily supplement of vitamin A. Vitamin D is probably not going to be enough for you to rely on that. But like I said, it rounds it out fairly well. It's got a good amount of EPA and DHA in it. I'm not going to go into all the details on it. We'll do that in a different video. But it's a really good source. The downside of the standard processed cod liver oil, the capsules are large, and so they can be difficult for some people to swallow. Now, they are gel caps, so that makes it easier, but they can be a little bit difficult for people to swallow. But if they can get it in, it's a really, really good form of fish oil. Great to be taken on a daily basis. For an average size adult, 3 capsules a day. For someone my size, I'm pushing 200 pounds, so I do 4 capsules a day. For teenagers or younger kids, if they can swallow the capsule, just dose it down for them, 1 or 2 a day. You're not likely to overdose somebody on fish oil, and there's not really enough vitamin A in here that at 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 a day that you're going to overdose anybody on that. I mean, I guess if you took half the bottle, you might get too much. But really, really good quality fish oil. We do some high dose fish oil in people who have concussions. In some of our autistic kids that we see in the office, we'll do higher doses with them. But it's not always in this form. Many of them can't swallow the pills like this. So I'm going to go over a different one for them in just a second. But anyway, cod liver oil, really good whole food, EPA, DHA heavy omega-3 supplement. Okay, good for anti-inflammation, great for the brain, good for HDL and heart issues. Some of it gets incorporated in the cell membranes, and then you've got the A and the D, which are obviously important. So that's cod liver oil, great option. Next, if they can't swallow the pills because they're just too big, then the next thing we do is we go to a tuna omega-3. Now, I know what a lot of you are going to say. Tuna is a big fish, right? You've been told not to do big fish for your omega-3 because big fish live longer and they tend to concentrate toxins in the water. God knows our waters are kind of toxic. I don't disagree with that. That's where something like krill oil would come in. You're doing a very small animal to get your fish oil. So it doesn't live long enough to concentrate much. I get it. The tuna oil is tested. It's free of toxins. They ensure that before they package it to send it out. They've been doing this a long time. They know what they're doing. So anyway, I don't worry about the tuna oil here. But these are smaller capsules, so they're much more easy to swallow. However, you're not getting the vitamin A and the vitamin D in this. You're just getting the omega-3s with the EPA and DHA. So very good source of fish oil, EPA and DHA. You're just not going to get the vitamin A and D that you would get out of the cod liver oil, but much easier to swallow. These are much smaller pills, or probably half the size, if not a little bit less, than the cod liver oil. They're also gel caps, so very easy to swallow. Not as small if from standard process they have kind of 4 sizes of gel caps. They're not as small as the wheat germ oil or black currant seed oil. Those are very small. These are kind of middle of the road. And then obviously the cod liver oil is the largest that they have, I think. All right, then third option, and this is for people that can't swallow pills at all. So a lot of times it's going to be children, or it's going to be someone who's had damage to their mouth or throat. They've had surgery, they've had radiation for whatever reason. They can't swallow pills, but they need omega-3 fats. So for that, we use the calamari oil. Okay. It's got a very nice blend of EPA and DHA, kind of a little heavier on the EPA, but really good for brain function and brain health. So we use this a lot in our autistic kids. It's kind of citrus flavored, but more often than not, parents will just mix it with a little bit of applesauce and it goes in just fine. But you can also mix it with juice. You can pour it in a smoothie, whatever. I will say, and this bottle's a decent size considering, the way you dose this. You don't want a giant bottle of fish oil when it's liquid, because every time you open that cap, you let air into the bottle and you will slowly start to oxidize the fish oil. Oxidized fish oil is, number one, is no fun to take. It starts to taste fishy and kind of rancid, but it's also not great for us. If you're going to go through this bottle, and nobody has really given me a good time frame. I'm sure it depends on atmospheric conditions and how often you open the bottle, whatever. But I would look at finishing a bottle like this probably within a month or 6 weeks. If you take this off and on and it's been opened several times and 3 or 4 months later, you're still taking doses out of that bottle, I'd be a little concerned that air has been in there that long and it's making the fish oil rancid. It's oxidizing it. In things like the cod liver oil and the tuna omega, because they're encapsulated, if you open and close that bottle all the time, the air gets in there. But the fish oil is inside those gel caps. It's sequestered, it's protected against oxidation. So it tends to stay much more stable. And so when I can, I like to use encapsulated fish oil like that, just because I think it's more stable. But for liquid fish oil, this is a great, great option. What else do I need to say on fish oil? Eating fish. Nothing wrong with eating fish to get your omega-3s. You're not likely to get enough of it that way, unless you're really serious about eating your fish. And then you can do the calculations, and if you're getting enough of it, great. How do you know if you're getting enough fish oil, enough omega-3s? EPA and DHA. There is a test that we sell at the office. Lots of offices have it. It's called an omega quant test, and it's a finger stick test. You prick your finger and you fill a couple circles on a business card, let it dry out, and mail it to the lab. And then you get a report back that explains your 3, 6, and 9 fat ratios, your EPA and DHA levels, and it will tell you whether or not you're getting enough omega 3 relative to the other fats that you have. So that's a great test to do. It's not terribly expensive. You can call our office and we can set you up with that. You can also get it, I'm sure, through other practitioners if you ask about it. Or if you Google Omega Quant, you may even be able to buy your own online. I think the one that we have, the practitioner version, comes with a few extra bits of information compared to the consumer one, but you'll still get the basic information out of it. But that will tell you whether or not you need extra fish oil or omega 3. And then once you start taking omega 3, take it for 90 days or so, and then retest and see if the omega 3 supplement you're using is actually doing the job. And we've had patients over the years that have insisted on using flax oil, flax meal, several different forms. And so we tell them, good, do it for 90 days. Let's retest and see where we are. I've never seen it really resolve the issue. And typically, once we get them on an actual fish oil, an animal-based one, they usually resolve very quickly. And pretty predictably. So anyway, part of that's from my experience, part of that's from the research that says that you just don't convert that to omega 3 very well. Flax has its benefits, don't get me wrong. But if you're doing it to get omega 3, it's just not likely to be as effective as you have probably been told. But do your own research. You'll be able to find the same numbers that I found. So any questions on fish oil, let me know. Again, as usual, you can call the office if you want the Omega Quant test. If you want some of these products, that's fine. Lastly, some people will tell you that fish oil is an anticoagulant. It's a blood thinner. And so if you're taking blood thinners, you have to be very careful about taking fish oil and all of this. Technically, yes, but the blood thinning effect of fish oil is so mild, it pales in comparison to what a pharmaceutical blood thinner would do. Like if you think you're going to get off your Plavix by taking fish oil, I wouldn't advise that, right? I don't think you're going to get nearly the same effect out of the fish oil that you would get out of something like the Plavix. It's also difficult to measure because now most of the blood thinners they're using are not easily measurable by a blood test like the Coumadin and warfarin used to be. And so, first of all, don't think you're going to replace those. Second of all, in my opinion, it really doesn't pose much of a risk to put a normal nutritional dose of fish oil into your regimen if you're taking blood thinners. If you're maxing out, like if you're taking, 30 capsules a day, could it have an impact on it? Yeah, I suppose it could. But if you're doing a regular supplemental dose, or if you're following the Omega Quant test and getting your levels up to where they should be anyway, you shouldn't have any problem taking these with blood thinners. And if your doctor tells you, oh my God, you can't take fish oil with that, that's probably overcautious and misinformed. Do something like the Omega Quant, get your levels into the normal range, and you won't be creating a risky situation in that sense. You just won't. Okay. So anyway, quick note on that. So call the office. We can set you up with what you need, or go to the website, drkrupka.com, DRKRUPKA. And in the upper right corner, there's a menu item that says store. You can click on that. There's a link to standard process. You can buy these fish oils if you like. Just remember, cod liver oil capsules are large. Tuna omega capsules are mid-range and much easier for everybody to take. And then if you just can't swallow capsules, calamari oil is the way to go. All right. Hope that helps you guys out. Let me know if you have any questions.